Good morning, my friends. Welcome to today. Welcome to today's discussion. Today we're going to be talking about ending the niceness that tends to come with codependency. So we're in this little series called Shifting Back to Power, Shifting to Power, Back to Personal Power. The goal, the objective with this series is to help you confront the elements of codependency that are keeping you powerless, that are interfering in the effectiveness and honesty of your relationships, and are keeping you stuck in the loop of being codependent. So it can be a confronting series. Go gently with yourself in this, and be kind with yourself, because it's not about condemnation. It's about an accountability and going, ooh, what can I change here? How can I do it? And that's my goal. To help you see what you can do and how, I'll give you options, give you tools in which you can use to make this change. So if you're new to me, I'm Burtcher, and I help codependents rediscover their happiness after narcissistic abuse by healing the trauma bond, coming to know themselves, and creating happy, healthy relationships. And so before we get to the topic today, I need to share this out to the community. The community is your safe haven here on the internet, where you can find guidance, support, understanding, and shelter as you journey out of codependency and as you work out the trauma and the confusion and start to grasp your own power and grasp your own worthiness and take back the power and authority in your life for your well-being, for your happiness, for things you want. The community can support you in that community. The link is above on Facebook, below on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and hit that bell, because I'm release videos several times a week. Got the button clicked. Okay. So it's nice to see you guys. Let me know. Share with me how you're doing in the comments below, what you're experiencing, what your thoughts are on today's topic of stop being nice. Now, that might sound a little antithetical to what we're used to, because in codependency, we tend to be really, really nice, right? I'm a very nice person. I'm very empathetic. I'm very understanding. I'm not talking about empathy. I'm not talking about being understanding. Niceness and kindness are often conflated and confused between each other. And so we need to define them. So niceness is doing things that won't rock the boat, won't upset other people. Kindness is being honest and truthful about what you want and what you don't. It's being upfront with things that work for you, things that don't work for you. It's communicating your needs and your wants. It's communicating your boundaries. Kindness is about honesty. It is about respect for yourself and respect for others. And the feed's going to have some error delays, so watch out for the full release later today. And the kindness is about letting people see you and then choose, whereas niceness is about conforming to expectation. It tends to bypass your feelings. It tends to do what they want, tends to not rock the boat, tends to avoid conflict. It tends to avoid asking for what you need or what you want. That's the problem, is it's not upfront about what you need. Niceness excuses or removes you from the equation and makes the other person the maximal focus. Kindness has a consideration for you and a consideration for them. And it's willing to rock the boat. It's willing to put a little conflict into the experience in case you need to advance a boundary, you need to ask for something, you need to say no, you need to change an agreement or a term that might upset someone else. Niceness says, I shouldn't upset others. Kindness says, I'm going to let others choose to feel what they feel, and I'm going to get out of the way. I'm going to do what I need to and what I want to for me and my well-being, and I'm going to see how they respond. So this isn't about selfishness and taking something from someone else we don't have an entitlement to or a right to. It's about being direct, clear, and simple with what we want and what we don't, what we need and what we don't, so that people can understand how they relate to us and how we fit in their world, and so that we can understand how they fit in our world. See, it's the honesty that leads to compatibility. So again, with relationship, it really breaks down to what you want, how you want it. Okay? And being nice is an obfuscation of what we want and how we want it. It's just like, nah, these aren't important. It's about what you want and how you want it. So we bend over backwards for these people. We give them everything that they ask for. And then them secretly, a lot of times, we're hoping that we'll get a reciprocation, that something will be returned to us. That's niceness in action. That is not kindness. Kindness is, hey, I'd like this, and then we see what they do. We make a request, we see how they respond to it. We say no, and we see how they respond to it. Kindness is about a simple honesty and transparency as to who you are and how things work for you, and a willingness to receive that from others as well, and allow things to be different, allow things to be disappointing, allow things not to work, because sometimes they just don't. That's incompatibility. That's a very real thing. The other trick with niceness is it tends to bypass our feelings. It tends to make us the problem and them not the problem. It tends to idealize them and devalue ourselves. Kindness has a positive regard for everyone involved. It says, hey, my feelings, my wants, my boundaries, my needs matter as much as theirs. They are both valuable. They're both valued. Hey, Rita, nice to see you. It's a healthy regard and inclusiveness of everyone involved because we care about how they feel. See, the positive or sincere intent behind niceness is to care for how someone feels. Problem is it bypasses the self. It bypasses the individual that's being nice. Kindness includes the individual that's being nice and elevates their wants, feelings, and boundaries, their needs, wants, feelings, and boundaries to the same level, to an equal level as those whom we're interacting with. That's the key here. This is why we stop being nice, because instead of being nice, we turn towards a kind honesty. Kind honesty can be voiced as, hey, I appreciate what you're trying to do here. It doesn't work for me. This would work better instead. What do you think? Kind honesty would be saying, nah, I don't want to do that right now. A kind honesty would be checking in with yourself and going, do I have capacity for that today? Is this aligned with what I want to experience today? Is this does this help me get where I want to be today? Do I have space for it? Things of that nature. It's a consideration of self first in tandem with consideration of the other. So there's this order I teach in the relationship strategy that says me and you. Because in codependency, it's always you. Narcissism, it's me. Interdependence is me and you. It's not you and me. And the reason why is I don't know what I can give you honestly if I don't check in with myself first. So it's a me and you. Me. What do I need? What do I have available? What are my objectives? Does this allow for or add to or take away from my well-being or happiness or what I need to get done? And if there's capacity, if this lines up, if this is something I want to do, then I say yes. And if it's not something I want to do, I say no. That's kindness because it's honest, it's direct. It helps people understand how to relate with you, and it helps you get what you want and need. So that ends the cycle of resentment. It ends the cycle of expectation, especially all expectations unspoken, because if you speak the expectation, it becomes a desire. Because really, expectation is a desire that's not been spoken. And it comes to expectation, we have to be real careful about this idea of obligation and entitlement, which tends to take a desire and wrap them in obligation or entitlement, so the other person must do a thing or should be a thing. We don't have that right. We have no right to dictate who someone else is or isn't, or what they should or shouldn't be doing. That comes back to respecting their autonomy, their power, their individuality, and getting out of the control habit that comes with codependency and moving towards questions, inviting people, inviting yourself to understand their context more, and asking questions that may guide that person to discover their own solution or their own answers to things they're facing. So, and this idea of expectations wrapped in obligation and entitlement, we have to move towards something very different. If we're going to have kindness and honesty in relationship, we have to move towards consent. So it's consent is the foundation of healthy relating, because there are no obligations and entitlements in relationship, or at least peer-to-peer relationship. There's only one person in the world that has an entitlement, and that is a child on a parent, until the child's gained the power and capacity to meet that need for themselves. The reason why is because the child didn't consent to exist. They didn't come down and say, hey man, make me. No, the parents did that sex, baby was born, baby didn't get a say in that. So when it comes to peer-to-peer relationships, it's built on consent, because relationship is a privilege. It's not a right or an entitlement. It's something that is freely granted between two or more people. And so, hey, Juliet. And so this is the foundation of kindness, is respecting the autonomy of the other individual and allowing them to make a choice based on how we are showing up. This is how we get honesty in relationships. This is how we understand how a person fits with us, how we fit with them, and how we don't. Because ultimately, relationships that last have what's called functional compatibility. And that's what we're going for. It's this organic experience of, hey, you get what I'm saying, I get what you're saying. We're able to regulate our individual attachment styles and co-regulate in those. We have trust. Like, trust for itself is demonstrated through the pattern of behaviors a person exhibits, specifically in the 8 relationship bare minimums of boundaries, reliability, accountability, maintenance of privacy in the relationship, integrity, positive warm regard, empathy, and there's one more. My brain's come back, right? If it pops in my brain, I'll give it to you. But the idea here is, if we're being nice, we're showing up in a way that doesn't empower us. It conveys a false message to the other person. It bypasses us. What we need to be looking at is, how am I not showing up in kindness to myself? Where am I bypassing my feelings? Where am I bypassing my boundary? When something in my body goes, no, I don't want to do that. Am I ignoring that? Am I pushing it to the side and going, hey, but they're more important. They need the thing. But what do you need? I mean, I've done this so many times to myself. It's like, I've had an exhausting day and somebody needs something and I do it anyway, and I start to hurt physically. That's a bypass. That's niceness in action. It's not kind. It's not kind to me. If it's not kind to me, it cannot be kind to them. Kindness works for both. Even if it upsets someone else, even if it disappoints them, it's the honesty that allows the kindness to exist. So as you shift to retrieve your personal power back from codependency, back from the cycle of being nice, look at where you're bypassing yourself first. Your feelings, your thoughts, your needs, what your body is telling you. It's like, I don't want to do this. I mean, my friends, no is the most powerful tool you have as a recovering from codependency, because your happiness is on the other side of it. The world for us codependents is like us. It's inverted. It's backwards. Because we have to do the opposite of our nature. Our nature is, hey, I want to say yes to everything because it feels comfortable, feels normal. Saying no is going to feel uncomfortable. It's going to have charge to it. It's going to be irritating, and that's the good thing. Because now you're getting used to having a boundary with yourself, and you're building tolerance for someone else's disappointment. You're building tolerance for difference. And difference is a big, we'll do a video on that, reclaiming our personal power in difference. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Because difference is a big friction point for codependence, because sameness means safety and difference means conflict. And conflict with codependence, we've been beat up for it. We've been attacked for it. Conflict was turned into a weapon, into a war. And so it's not safe for us. When we get out into a healthy dynamic, learning to relate to people in healthy ways, conflict is going to be a major challenge for us because it's highly activating. But we've got to start building capacity for that. And we do that. Now, technically, we do that by regulating our nervous system, making conflict safe, retrieving power. So there's a number of steps to it. Hey, Julia. And so now our job, right now, for today, is to start checking in with, am I being nice or am I being kind? Am I acknowledging my wants and needs in this? Am I allowing myself to say yes and no freely? And am I allowing other people to choose? Am I allowing other people to be disappointed? Am I getting out of the way and just letting them be them, be me? This is how we become kind. This is how we become honest in how we relate. I know that this can be confronting. This might be a little upsetting. Marshall, what about all, I'm trying. Well, of course you are. And that's the beauty of it. But this little refinement of getting towards honesty and how we communicate what we want and what we don't, that's the magic. That's where we gain our power back. That's where we start getting the honest experience in our relationships. Because that's ultimately what we need to access in ourselves, is that, how's this person showing up for me? Does this work for me? Do I work for them? We get out. This approach allows us to avoid the trap of toxic or incompatible relationships again. Because being honest and being, and I'm not saying codependents aren't honest, but when we are not saying no when we want to say no, that is dishonest. We are not being upfront, and we are communicating a message that isn't honest to them, because now we're saying yes to something we don't want. That communicates to that person that we want that. And so we've established a not necessarily an expectation, but an understanding with that person that doesn't necessarily align with us. And that's the problem with niceness, is it establishes something that isn't aligned with us, with other people, and then they come to rely on that. They think that that's what we want, and we start getting more and more resentment, more and more frustration, because we're stuck on a loop that isn't working for us and them. So it comes back to kindness is, hey, yes, I want to do this. No, I don't. And then we can connect with that. Then we're getting the honest experience. And that's where the magic is. So that's what I want you to focus on today. Consider going throughout your day and exploring the idea of, how am I showing up with honesty? How am I showing up with niceness? And how much more kindness can I have towards myself? By saying yes to the things I want to say yes to, by saying no to the things I don't want to say no to, and by asking for the things that I want. Because asking isn't selfish. Asking is caring. Asking is kindness. It's kindness to you. It's kindness to them. Okay? All right. That is today's discussion, today's training. Go out there, give it a shot. Let me know how it works for you. Remember, guys, that you're worth knowing, loving, and keeping. And I will see you in our next discussion. Bye-bye.